Hey y'all, I want to talk to y'all today about how faithful God is. And that's the title of it today, He is faithful. And I'm just going to put my paper down and I'm going to talk to y'all because I was thinking this morning, my favorite song is The Goodness of God. Listen, I don't care who sings it. When it's a very pretty voice, I love it. But it's the words of the song that get me. And just batting me to tears. Because it's all my life and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. And that song came on this morning and I was sitting in my car and it was like, it's like a mini movie of flashes in my mind. And, I think back on all who I used to be years ago, all the things I've done, all the things I've said, all the places I allowed myself to be that, I should have died in. I put myself in some stupid situations. I didn't. A part of me didn't know any better, and the part that did know better did not care. It was awful, and God was the farthest thing from my mind for the most part. But He showed up for me every time. He saved my life in more ways than I could even begin to explain. I remember one night I had done a lot of drugs. I had done a whole lot of drugs. And I remember feeling like my brain was on fire. And I was sticking my head under a bathtub faucet. And I was not saved. I had been saved like when I was 14 years old. But anyways, I was far from that. And I was so far backslid, you couldn't even say I was ever saved to start with, okay? Because listen, once saved, always saved, that's not accurate at all. Not in the least little bit. So I've got my head under this bathtub faucet and I'm begging God to just let me live. Lord, please don't let me die like this. And He didn't. And I survived. And did I live my life for Him? No, I didn't. I continued doing some kind of stupid stuff, some really kind of stupid stuff. But every time He saved me. And I did eventually go to Him, and sadly I backslid again. But years down the road, I reckon He finally knocked some sense into me. But I just think about there were so many other times. That's just the one that sticks out to me the most. But think of all the times, and maybe you weren't quite as dumb as me and did a whole lot of drugs and was about to die. But how often in your life have you been living without any regard for God, without thinking about Him? And He just showed up and saved you. I can give you another example. I remember when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I was not saved at the time, and I knew about God, and I had been to church, and I had, anyways, and I had been diagnosed with preeclampsia, and I had to be rushed to the hospital, and over an hour away, almost 2 hours away, I had to be rushed to the hospital by ambulance. And it was pretty bad. I wound up staying in the hospital for a week before I even had her because she was early and they wanted to keep her in there. And I remember them telling me they were looking at the ultrasound, and there was about 6 or 7 doctors in the room, and they're all looking at each other and they're like, we don't understand how either one of y'all are still alive right now. And they were showing me her umbilical cord, and they said, nothing has gotten through here in a long time. We don't understand how she's alive. We don't understand how you're alive. And neither did I. And even with them telling me that, I don't think I ever prayed, not one time. I never prayed. I didn't think about it. It's not that I wasn't angry at God. I was so far from him, and I was not doing drugs and stuff like that at this point. I mean, I'm not saying that, but you don't have to be addicted to something or living a crazy lifestyle. We went to work, we paid our bills, we took care of our kids, we were decent people just like anybody else. But it did not occur to me to pray. And I had her, and she was completely healthy. She was so healthy that she did not need any IVs or tubes or lights or anything. They just had her in the regular little baby cradle, and they were just keeping an eye on her. They had her in the NICU for the first night, but they kept an eye on her for about a week because they could not believe that she was okay to be that early. She was 3 pounds. 3 pounds. You can't tell me that God has not been faithful even when I wasn't faithful. And I'm sure if you were to look back on your own stories throughout your life where God was faithful even when you weren't faithful. And it's not because we're special. It's not because we've done something. It's not because we come from a godly heritage, because I sure enough don't come from a godly heritage. Somebody somewhere might have prayed for me. I'm not doubting that for a second, but I did not come from a godly family. I don't have any Holy Ghost filled grandmas kneeling by their bed for me. But God, I had God. I didn't have him, he had me. And how many times can we say that? I mean, just look, they say don't look back. You don't look back because you want to go back to where you were, but look back in all of God's faithfulness for your life. The things that you have been through. We have all been through stuff. I just gave examples of mine because, my God, he is faithful. And he is worthy of every bit of praise I can give him. And every bit of praise I will ever give him is still not enough for the things he's done for me. The things he's done for my family. I could go on and on with story after story, just telling you how good he is. But until you look in your own stories and you see his goodness and his faithfulness over your entire life when you didn't even recognize it. So that's what I want everyone to do today. Just look at where he's never left. I always use the expression, he'll always show up for you, but you'll always recognize he's there because he ain't never left you. But I love y'all, and I hope that go listen to that song. I don't care who sings it. Listen to the words. Go pull up the lyrics to that song and let it just resonate in your spirit, because all my life he's been faithful, and all my life he's been so, so good. And with every breath that I'm able, I'll talk about the goodness of God. I don't sing very well. I make a joyful noise, but I'll talk about the goodness of God. But I love y'all, and I'll see you next time. Bye.